another edition of Thunderdome. We've got 4.4 Civics class coming up, How a Bill Becomes a Law. Follow along with me on the 4.4 quiz. All right, so how does a bill become a law? First off, a bill is just a proposal for a new law, okay? The idea can come from anyone, but it can only be introduced by a member of Congress. Okay, so bill, proposal for a new law. Each bill starts as an idea from anyone, but again, can only be introduced by a member of Congress. Most bills can begin in either House of Representatives or the Senate. So know that. Not just one, but both. All bills specifically dealing with money must start in the House of Representatives. So, there's the answer to number one, basically saying that a bill can be introduced in both houses, not just the House of Representatives. Bills introduced into the House of Representatives are dropped into a box called the hopper. Bills introduced in the Senate are read aloud by the person introducing it. So then a bill is assigned a number. In the House of Representatives, it's assigned a number starting with HR. So it's say HR 100. I mean, you know, it could be House of Representatives Bill 100. In the Senate, it's assigned a number starting with S. So it would be S.100. Then it is given to the steering committee. So if the bill is important enough, the steering committee sends it to a standing committee, which is one of the important committees, or a select committee is specially created for the topic. All right, moving on. So, what happens in committee? Committee action is the most important part of this entire thing. This is where the bill actually gets worked upon to where, all right, will it be passed or will it not? Okay, so we're going to have to change some things and make it passable. So committees review the bill before it's sent back to the floor for debate and vote. The committee has 5 options. Pay attention right here for question number 2. So it can accept the bill as it is without making any changes at all. It can mark up or make changes to the bill. And then there's these thing called riders, and if you pay attention to this right now, you'll know and you'll find out that government is sneaky. Riders. Only in the Senate. It's an amendment added to the bill that is unrelated to the topic of the bill. So let's say that we pass a bill that's going to stop farm pollution from traveling down rivers. But at the end of that bill, there's a rider. And it's unrelated to the bill, and it becomes law, whatever that might be. And it's sneaky. They do this. They just add things at the tail end of it to make things happen for themselves, possibly, or their constituents at the very end. The riders are a little manipulation there. All right, number 3, they may replace the bill with an alternative on the same topic. Number 4, this is important for your quiz because it's an answer, but pigeonhole. Okay? The committee can choose to ignore the bill altogether. They don't even realize or they don't even acknowledge that it actually exists. This will cause the bill to die because it will never be worked with. And then number 5, there's kill the bill. So the committee can decide that the bill is no good and completely reject it and verbally say that. All right. So C, floor debate, floor action. Question number 3. In the House of Representatives, the Rules Committee decides when the bill should be debated and sets a time limit for debate. Each member's time and duration for the entire debate is monitored by the Speaker, which is the leader of the House of Representatives. In the Senate, it's a little bit different. So usually debate the bills in numerical order, so they move from however they're listed numerically, with the S in front of them. Senators do not have a time limit on debates. So they have this thing called a filibuster. Okay, important for question number 3. It occurs when a senator or group of senators agreed to never stop speaking about the bill. This sounds weird, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Never stop speaking about the bill? Has this happened before? Yeah, it has. Filibusters have lasted for over 24 hours. Filibusters upon filibusters have lasted weeks upon weeks. When they tried to pass the civil rights bills in the 60s, 1964, there were weeks upon weeks upon weeks of filibusters saying, we don't want these bills to be passed. So the goal of a filibuster is to kill the bill by having it withdrawn by the Senate. It's basically saying, okay, this is taking too long, we're going to withdraw it, and then maybe we can work it on another level. And then it's cloture. So a vote, usually before debate begins, to set a 1-hour time limit for each senator to speak. You need 2/3 of the vote of the Senate to make this happen. This is done to prevent/stop a filibuster from happening. That's tough for, 2/3 of the vote, that's a lot. That's a lot for senators to agree upon. They barely get to a majority sometimes, which is 51%. All right. So, now we got voting. So question number 4 here. So, what is needed for a bill to pass? A majority vote. 51%. Okay? So that'd be half. Oh, just over half. So you have some options here. Voice vote, the general vote saying yay or nay. And then a standing vote. Each member will stand up when called for, and they will say in favor, all opposed, and abstentions. So if you were in this room right now and I said all in favor, please stand. And if you agreed with the bill, then you would stand. Then you would sit down, and then I say all opposed, and then you would stand up. And then if I said, okay, who is not voting today, which would be abstentions, and then those people would stand up. And then there's a roll call vote. Each member's name is called and their vote is announced out loud. And this is pretty much how it's done today by computerized voting. The answer to number 4 is right there. For the bill to pass, the bill needs at least 2/3 of votes to pass. That's false. All right, other houses of Congress. Question 5. Each bill must be passed by both houses of Congress before the president sees it. That's a total of 535 people's eyes on the bill. 435 people in the House of Representatives, 100 people in the Senate. So each bill must be passed by both houses. Right, it's false because only 51% is needed, and 2/3 would be 67%. So the entire process begins in the other house all over again. So, if the bill starts in the Senate, the next place that the bill goes would be the House of Representatives. It has to be passed in both houses before it gets to the president's desk. So the entire process begins in the other house all over again. Introduction, committee action, floor debate, vote, and if it passes then, it goes to conference committee. So a conference committee decides on the final version of the bill passed. If changes are made after it goes to the other house, a conference committee meets to create a version that can be agreed upon by both houses of Congress. And then we get close to the end. It gets to the president. So the president, if he signs the bill, it's law. Okay? So if he approves the bill, boom, he signs it, it's law. And then the executive branch, which is the president, gets to enforce it. The legislative branch obviously created it. And the judicial branch would say if it's constitutional or not. So let's say that the president doesn't want to sign it into law. So disapprove, right? Veto the bill. So he can refuse to sign the bill. It's sent back to Congress with suggestions for changes. And then Congress has an option to override the president here. He can reverse, or Congress can reverse the president's veto, but that requires 2/3 vote by both houses of Congress. That right there is a lot. You know, 2/3 of the vote, so 67 senators, then 2/3 of 435 members of the House of Representatives. That's tough to do. Has it been done before? Yeah, but it's extremely hard. Or the president can do this, a pocket veto. The president takes no action on the bill at all. Doesn't sign it, doesn't send it back. This can happen when Congress submits a bill with less than 10 days remaining in the session. The bill dies without ever being finally decided, meaning they would have to create an entire new bill in that case. So question number 7 and 8 are answered right there in that slide. Here's how a bill becomes a law in one place. Doesn't that look a little crazy? But it's not too much. You know, if you really take a look at this, then you can really possibly see how it happens. But the way I just explained it is, you know, the wordy version of this. So you should be done with your quiz. Number 6, conference. The conference committee decides on the final version of the bill passed. Okay, I will see you guys tomorrow, and yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. All right, everybody.